Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day. Today we're gonna talk about a poem by Sylvia Plath called The Colossus. So before we start the poem, I have to say that this poem is directed and addressed to Sylvia Plath's father, like her other poem, Daddy. So if you want to enjoy this experience more, I kind of recommend that you read Daddy too, and perhaps maybe read that one first and then come to this one, or the other way around. If you've encountered this poem for the first time, then afterwards go and read Daddy definitely, because they're interrelated and both such good poems. So let's start talking about this one. I shall never get you put together entirely, pieced, glued, and properly jointed. Mule bray, pig grunt, and body cackles proceed from your great lips. It's worse than a barnyard. So we're to go stanza by stanza. Here, she's talking to a person, you. Who is this you? Her father. How do I know this? Well, I've kind of cheated, guys, because I've read this poem before, and now I'm analyzing it for you. Here, in the second slide, she says, "Oh, father." So you don't get to understand that she's talking to her father until perhaps the fourth or the fifth stanza. But I know that, so I'm going to tell you, and we're gonna cheat a little. So she's talking to her father. Her father figured, like in Daddy, is a Colossus, kind of a big character, kind of a stout character, and she feels very small when she's in his presence. Now she's likening his father to the statue, the Colossus of Rhodes, as you can see in the background. This statue, and this statue has been broken now, but she is trying to piece it back together, but she can't. She's trying to glue it together and piece it back together, but she can't join the pieces. And mule bray, pig grunt, and body cackles. Bray is actually the sound that a donkey or a mule makes. So this is kind of a let's say phrase that she's invented here. The sound of the mule and the grunts of the pig, and some body animalistic cackles coming from the great lips of his father. So some perhaps sounds that are incomprehensible to her, let's say. It's worse than a barnyard. So this is pretty clear. It's worse than a barnyard. Perhaps you consider yourself an oracle, mouthpiece of the dead, or of some god or other. 30 years now I have labored to dredge the silt from your throat. I am none the wiser. So he's talking to his father. He's saying, perhaps you consider yourself an oracle or a prophet of the gods, the mouthpiece of the dead, or some god or something. You perhaps think you are grand, the thoughts of self-grandeur are here being explained. For 30 years, this 30 years, of course, is talking about Sylvia Plath's age. She wrote this poem when she was 30. So for 30 years, she has tried to understand her relationship to her father. Her father died when she was little, but she has been trying to understand her relationship with him for over 3 decades of her life. So for 30 years, she has tried to dredge the silt from your throat. So the silt is kind of like some materials that get inside the water and kind of let's say stop and prevent the water from being able to flow. And to dredge is to try to unlock that, is to try to unlock the silt and try to unlock the water flow. So she has been trying to unlock the silt from his throat. But what does it mean? I think it means that she has tried her life to try to connect with her father, to try to make him talk to her. Of course he's dead, but his memory, perhaps his shadow, she has tried to make him talk to her. She has tried to understand him by talking to him, but I am none the wiser. She has not failed. She has not been successful in doing this. She has not been able to get anything out of her father. Scaling little ladders with glue pots and pails of Lysol, I crawl like an ant in mourning. Over the weedy acres of your brow to mend the immense skull plates and clear the bald white tumuli of your eyes. So scaling here means to go up, to ascend. So she's going up little ladders because this Colossus figures is huge. So she's using ladders to go up and down and clean the statue, which is her chore. So she's going up and down the ladders with glue pots and pails of Lysol. So Lysol, you probably know, is a disinfectant and is used for cleaning. So her job is putting back together the figure of his father and trying to clean that up, trying to clear up every memory she has of him, because this is not a literal cleaning up of his father, obviously. So she's trying to scrape up those memories and try to dig in and try to understand those memories. But she crawls like an ant in mourning. So why did she use the figure ant here? I think two reasons. First, because of how small an ant is, because she feels small in front of her father, and that's what the ant symbolizes. And in mourning, well, interestingly, I think, ants are different colors, right? But we know that they come mostly in black. So an ant colored black is always in mourning. So kind of, it's like giving us the idea that I'm always in mourning because I'm a black ant and I wear nothing but black. I think that's just a little fun thing to think about. Perhaps this is not what she meant, but that's my interpretation of it. Over the weedy acres of your brow, so this is a clear line over his brows. She walks like an ant, and for her it's acres the brow because like I said, he's huge and she's small. To mend the immense skull plates and clear the bald white tumula of your eyes. So we said that her job is to mend his father's statue as he's the statue and to clean him up. And some word here, tumuli, is a little bit difficult for us, so let's see what it means. Here, this picture is a tumuli. Tumuli is a burial mound. So in ancient times, when they wanted to bury an important person, they used to build a kind of a heap on top of the tombstone, and that would be called the tumuli, or the tumulus as the singular form goes. So over his eyes, she's has this heap, and she's trying to clear that bald spot. A blue sky out of the Oresteia arches above us. O Father, all by yourself, you are pithy and historical as the Roman Forum. I open my lunch on a hill of black cypress. Your fluted bones and acanthine hair are littered in their old anarchy to the horizon line. The reason I read this line of the next stanza is because we have an enjambment here. The line doesn't finish here, it goes on to the next one. So the blue sky of Oresteia, the reason why she's brought in this Oresteia here, I think it's kind of to give the classical atmosphere to the poem, because we're after all talking about the Colossus figure of Rhodes, and that's a classical figure in the city of Rhodes. And it's like the blue sky is coming out of that play by Aeschylus, if I'm not mistaken, the Oresteia. And she's for the first time addressing her father. O Father, all by yourself, you are pithy and historical, like the Roman Forum. Like the Colossus, the Roman Forum again is another, let's say, historical building or a place. It's not a building, it's a place for assembly, and it was more like a square maybe or something. But again, it's the classical ancient let's say area, and again this gives the classical atmosphere to the poem. And his father is historical like the Roman Forum. I open my lunch on a hill of black cypress, your fluted bones and acanthine hair are littered. So black cypress, if you look it up in the Google, if you look up what cypress symbolizes and invokes, you see that it's the tree for mourning, and I mean mourning, but by MOUR, not mourning as in MORN ING. So black cypress is for mourning, and again, this desolation that we see in the poem is being emphasized by the fact that she has brought about an imagery of the black cypress. And she's sitting there, and she's doing her chores on the huge statue that is his father. And then acanthine hair, this is another difficult and classical word again. Let's see what it means. So acanthine, let's go to the next page. Here, this is the acanthine leaf, and or leaf, and it was used in, let's say, the pillars of classical Greek buildings. And as you can see, the curves here are important for us, because his hair is clearly curly and falling and it's scattering all over his head. Fluted bones are again fluted. I don't have a picture for it, but this is again an architectural term like acanthine. So he's saying that your bones are like the structures of pillars of Greece, and acanthine hair is like your curves, your curly hair, of course. By curves, that's what I mean. Are littered in their old anarchy to the horizon line, are scattered in the horizon line, and it would take more than a lightning stroke to create such a ruin. Nights I squat in the cornucopia of your left ear out of the wind, counting the red stars and those of plum color. So I think this stanza was pretty clear. It would take more than a lightning stroke to create such a ruin. A great force needs to ruin this statue. And by night, I squat in the cornucopia. Cornucopia is this one here, right here. It's a horn-shaped kind of a thing that is usually invoking the thoughts of plentifulness and having abundance of something, having a lot of fruits and vegetables, etc. So this is kind of paradoxical, because up until now we've had a very grim idea in the poem, a very let's say desolate theme going on. But cornucopia is a, let's say, positive force here. It's a positive connotation here, and that creates a bit of paradox in the poem. I'm not sure why she would use such an idea. Perhaps, again, she wanted to emphasize the classical side of the idea. Cornucopia is a classical word, and maybe that's why, but overall the meaning is kind of at odds with the other parts of the poem. So in the horn-shaped structure of your left ear, I sit out of the wind, and again, I remind you, this is a huge statue, so that's why she's sitting on the left ear of it. Counting the red stars and those of plum color, which is the reddish color again. The sun rises under the pillar of your tongue. My hours are married to shadow. No longer do I listen for the scrape of a keel on the blank stones of the landing. So the sun rises under the pillar of your tongue. Something interesting here that I think should be mentioned is that the Colossus statue was actually the statue of the sun god called Helios that they had built. So he's saying that the sun rises under the pillar of your tongue. So you can imagine it like this, that by telling and ordering the sun comes out of where it is, from the east, and the sun rises on the pillar of his tongue. So it's kind of like it's under the order of his tongue, and then the sun comes out. So I think that's how we should interpret this line. That's why the sun rises out of from under his tongue, because he's the sun god Helios, this statue, and the sun, well, let's say, listens to him. My hours are married to shadow. Now, it's funny because the sun rises from under the tongue of the statue, and everywhere should be sunny. From with that, I mean logic. But her hours are married to shadow. Perhaps we can say that she can't connect with her father. That's what she's trying to tell us, because the sun rises from under his tongue. So perhaps when he speaks and when he orders, the sun comes out. But he can't communicate with her because she is in the shadows. Now, the shadow and the sun, they don't go together, it's like something is preventing them from being able to see each other or be able to communicate with each other. And that's how I interpret this line. She's married to the shadow, and she uses the strong word married to the shadows. And some people might turn this around and say that this is a kind of a, let's say, uh, an what do we call it? I forgot completely. I got too excited and carried away. This is an illusion, by the way. Some people might say that this is an allusion to Ted Hughes, her husband, that was much like his father. She thought that Ted Hughes was a figure like her father, and authoritarian like him. And perhaps that's why she's using the word married. But I think overall, we don't need the contextual idea. Perhaps we don't need to know she was married to Ted Hughes. We can simply say that she's using this word that has very strong connotations. She's married to the shadows, so she belongs to the shadows, whereas her father belongs to the sun and belongs with the sun and with the light. No longer do I listen for the scrape of a keel. Now, what's a keel? This is important to know. Again, let's go back to that same slide. So, I have put a picture here. This is a keel. So, it's a structure on boats or ships. And she's saying that no longer do I listen for the scrape of a keel on the blank stones of the landing. So when the boats are coming close to the landing, like this one in the picture in the background, I don't know if you can see it. When they come close to the landing and they want to, let's say, land there, the sound of that keel being knocked onto the stones makes a scraping sound. But she no longer listens to that. She no longer waits for that. Perhaps she's saying that I'm done, I'm through, I don't care anymore, I don't listen, I don't wait for anything. Perhaps she was waiting to listen for the scrapes of the keel, waiting for something to arrive, but no longer is she waiting now, and she's perhaps done for. And I say this with a little bit of conviction because in her poem Daddy, she also says that I'm done, I'm through, Daddy, I'm through. So again, it could be the same line of thinking. I think I'm a little bit too much influenced by the fact that I have read the poem Daddy, but I don't think that's a problem, because I think these two poems are very much connected, and they are connected. In fact, both of them are about her father. So I don't think it would be wrong to assume some things from the first poem and let's say interpret them with the significations from the second poem. So that's what I think. This video is a bit long, so I'm going to cut it short, and thank you for watching the video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. And that's all I had to say for today. Thank you for watching.